Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Layman's Guide to the Multiverse, where we dive between the panels and break through the fourth wall. I'm your host, Matt, and with me today I got Doug.
Hey.
I got Paulo.
What's up?
And I got Edward.
Hey, I'm last today. How's it going?
Hey, yeah, mixing it up.
We never, ever do it the same way twice, I feel like.
Ooh.
Nope. But,
does that mean two things?
well, it takes two things to make a thing go right.
Oh, I did hear it takes two to make it out of sight.
God,
right?
Why?
Why? Because the 90s, and I'm pretty sure that was a song from the early 90s.
I'm pretty sure it was too, but even if it is not, today we're talking about the 90s. Because you know what, guys? It's in.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm 12 with you saying that they're in what? Like in a jar? Is it in like a Tupperware container? Can I get it at a Home Depot? Like where is it in?
No. I mean, it's hip. Like, you know, if we're reading a Disney magazine back in like 1996, it would totally be in the hot category, the 90s.
I'll put it like this. The existential crisis of our generation has found its way into nostalgia. And that's the only way that makes us feel safe. So all of a sudden now we're really, really back into the things that made us feel safe.
Well,
oh yeah, we're totally regressing, you know.
Well,
in a little sense, we're becoming children again,
well,
and it's amazing.
Well, we could talk about, you know, philosophical things like that, or we can use this as an opportunity to highlight the fact that, you know, we're starting to see more comic book stuff cashing on the 90s nostalgia, like we saw in Captain Marvel.
You mean pouches?
And the fact... Yes, that too. And the fact that they're, you know, basically selling us the 90s in streaming form with Disney Plus coming out the other week.
Oh, they really are, though.
Yeah, they are trying to pump the nostalgia right into our veins, like RNIB.
I mean, yeah, there's so many shows that kind of, you know, we now have legal avenues to watch them again, like you know, the Fantastic Four, the Iron Man show,
all terrible.
Silver Surfer.
The Silver Surfer, I totally forgot about
the
that
Hulk
one. 90s dad bod Spider-Man.
I called him a thick boy Spider-Man, but 90s dad bod Spider-Man works good too.
I like that the show took place in the 90s, but they still gave Peter Parker like a 70s haircut.
He looks like Eric from that 70s show.
He does.
It really does, though.
Which is funny because Eric from that 70s show eventually played Venom.
That's true.
And as I said in our Spider-Man episode, should have played Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's fair.
I could see it. But yeah, though. Yeah, 90s. I mean, I can only hope from here we start getting electronics with clear plastic shells again.
I mean,
Jesus.
that's what most of our iPhone cases are, just clear plastic shells to protect our fragile $1,000
supercomputers that we carry around in our pockets.
Fucking pockets. I know.
Yeah, man.
Literally have a portable like Library of Alexandria, and people don't give a fuck.
Dude, in like 1998, I was rocking a 75 megahertz Pentium 1 that we upgraded to 64 megabytes of RAM. I mean, guys, think about if that was in a smartphone, that'd be pathetic.
We're getting dumber, is in fact what's happening. But
100%.
you know, that's neither here nor there. I feel like that's something that
yeah. Why remember facts when there's
exactly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
man.
I don't remember a single person's phone number.
I don't know, man. The 90s were pretty dumb though. If like having lived through it. With nostalgia goggles on, it seems awesome, but man.
Yeah, that was going to be a thing. Like that's kind of what I was going to get at is that like nostalgia, or 90s nostalgia is at a fever pitch, I think, at the moment, especially with the Netflix Nickelodeon deal, the Disney Plus. DCU's got some of the old DC cartoons. Actually, I think it's got all the DC cartoons.
Yes.
But it's one of those things as like the only thing I think that I don't want to say that holds up, but like as a kid, I love Batman the animated series, you know, the Spider-Man cartoon, the X-Men cartoon. But in prep for this, I've been watching compilations of the X-Men cartoon. I don't know if it's as good as Kid Me remembers.
It couldn't possibly be as good as Kid You remembers it because I know how Kid Me remembers it, and adult me has never seen that show.
Yeah. No. Kid Me was like, oh, the action figures are based off this cartoon. Give me everything. Give me one of everything.
Yeah,
By the way, we mentioned this once before when we talked about toys, but ultimate scam in the 90s for superhero action figures is every year the next line would be like a half-inch taller than the old ones.
either that or they would have a couple of more points of articulation, I feel like.
Yeah, and then Power Rangers blew everyone out of the water by introducing us all to 9-inch figures right out the fucking gates.
Got him.
I just remember for like 2 years, I had a Phoenix or a Jean Grey figure that was like almost 2 full inches taller than my Cyclops.
Wasn't she always taller than Cyclops?
Not in the cartoon.
Okay. Well, thank you for remembering that, because I did not.
Oh, I like I said, I was watching a bunch of compilations in prep for this. Man, I cannot wait to dive into X-Men the animated series today.
I was about to say, you mean to tell me there was animation errors in X-Men the animated series? To hell, I say. I do not believe you. Next, you're going to tell me is that Street Fighter the animated series has no animation errors.
Wait, are you talking about the USA one, or are we talking about the anime one?
Yeah, USA.
Yeah.
One.
Okay, good.
You know, the one where, you know, Guile like runs from one end of the room to the other and he shrinks like 12 feet. To like the point where he's like an inch tall. It's ridiculous.
The one where Balrog is typing with his boxing gloves on.
Yes.
All right. Before we keep going, we should probably set a baseline. I think for what the fuck each
God
of
damn
us,
it, Ed! I was taking a
what
drink.
the fuck each of us thinks, or at least with our nostalgia goggles on, what is
100%.
considered good for each of us.
The height of 90s nostalgia
For each of us.
Let's
For
go.
each of us.
Oh man.
Because I mean, all of us are relatively close to the same age. I think maybe there's about maybe a 6 or 7 year difference between, I think, the oldest to the youngest of us.
Yeah, I mean,
so we all relatively grew up with the same cartoons, watched the same stuff. At 6 years, it's kind of a difference, kind of not. I don't know, but all right. So,
especially with people like us who watch cartoons after other people our age have stopped watching cartoons, so we still saw all the same shit.
yeah, that's
100%.
100% accurate. If I'm being honest there.
Yeah.
So, all right.
We shouldn't front. We're all those
all right.
nerds.
So,
Oh,
what
yes.
order do we want to go? Do we go for youngest to oldest? Do we want to go from oldest to youngest? What do we want to do?
I mean, I can just go.
All
It's
right,
fine.
all right. Give us yours.
I mean, if I gotta pick, so are we doing just 90s cartoons here? Or are we doing 90s cartoons here?
let's do 90. Let's do 90s comics and cartoons.
Okay. Because if I'm gonna go comics, I am super nostalgic for the Chris Claremont and the Chris Claremont written, Jim Lee drawn X-Men comics,
course.
like the Spider-Man comics of the early to mid 90s, that Todd McFarlane goodness. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like, I'm super nostalgic for the Batman animated series, and it's still really good.
yeah. That's the thing. Is that show completely holds up?
Yeah.
Like, that show's super good. Little kid me fucking loves the X-Men. Like, holy shit. Like, there's part of me now that's just gonna go throw on the X-Men theme, gonna play it for myself for the rest of this episode. Like, it's real good
Yeah, it's going to be his personal soundtrack.
to my life.
Okay. And then who's next?
So if we're going age order, I guess I would be next.
Are you next?
Paula, what are you? 83?
83. Yes.
Okay, I'm 86.
Okay, so yeah, it would be you then.
Yes. Man. Well, I mean, hands down, Batman. I mean, just every one of the Batman series was really damn good. Personally, for me, I have to edge out Batman Beyond, maybe, because that show is way better than it ever should have been.
Yeah,
That's a completely fair
That
statement.
is a really
Like-
fair statement.
I remember back in the day, like, oh, a Batman 100 years in the future, that sounds stupid. And I watched, was like, oh,
Yeah.
God, this is good.
Yeah.
Um,
Make him a teenager with high-tech suit in the future, and he's got an attitude.
yeah,
And that's what it is, but it's so good.
yeah. The whole
Like, it
Toon-
definitely. Oh, go ahead.
no, yeah, like the whole Tood thing was like such a big thing in the 90s, but like, you know, that show was like 98, so I felt like everyone was starting to get sick of it by then.
No, like that like you said, that show has no right to be as good as it was, and it took a little bit to get its footing. But man, like, end of season 1 and 2, that show is solid.
Yeah. Oh man, what else do we got then? 90s cartoon. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. You know, as cool as the Men in Black one was.
That show
The
was
show was
fun. Was
so
that the
good. That
90s?
was the 90s too.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was very fun.
Yeah, it came out like I remember it coming out in February, but I think it was like February after the summer the movie had come out, so that would place it in 98, I think. That was a really good show. It got a little dry at parts, but just for how absurd it can be at times, it was a lot of fun. But the other show that I was really into was definitely the Spider-Man. The one I were joking around before where Peter Parker's drawn like he's somebody's 30-year-old
Like he's
uncle.
30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he starts in high school and then they're like, we should probably move him to college because he looks like an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was cool too because I remember them playing like all the specials, like the episode where he encounters the symbiote for the first time. I think that one got played.
Yeah.
That was like a special. I think they played it at like 4:00. You know, like they played it. They gave it like, you know, as prime time of a slot as you can give a cartoon for the time.
Especially a cartoon for like 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I do remember them playing like, because like let's say that was like a 3-part. I remember them playing like all 3 parts.
Yeah. It was really well done, and not to mention like the CGI looks like absolute trash today, but it was pretty awesome back in the day.
Yeah, it was neat. Speaking of CG and cartoons, the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest did it kind of neat.
You know, me and the wife still talk about that
Also,
show.
The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest had one of the best openings ever.
It did. It really did.
Oh, dude, that opening theme was
That opening
awesome.
theme still fucking smashes.
It holds up. Also, I will
no.
forever love anything Johnny Quest related just because it inspired the Venture Brothers, which is like one of the greatest shows ever made.
Yeah, honestly, like speaking of nostalgia, like people love Star Wars. Venture Brothers is probably my Star Wars. Like that
Nice.
show
That
is
show's so good.
It's so good.
It speaks to us all on a very deep
That
level.
show is so
All right.
stupid way good. You should just stop what you're doing and we'll watch it. All 7 seasons.
All
Do
right.
it.
All right, but I'm only thinking about this now because we're talking about 90s nostalgia trips and shows we watched growing up. I can think of probably my most 90s memory ever. When I got home from school, they played a block of Power Rangers. I think it was on Fox at the time, from about 3:30 to 4 p.m.
Oh, that
Monday
sounds about
through
right.
Friday.
That sounds about right, yeah.
I missed out on a week of Power Rangers reruns.
Wait, an entire week?
Yeah.
How did you ever catch up on the plot?
How did you live?
Because the O.J. Simpson trial, it got so much media attention. They had all the breaking news, and I turn on and watch Power Rangers. It's like, oh yeah, O.J. Simpson, you know, they think he murdered his wife. You know, we're going to sit the camera outside of the courthouse for 3 fucking hours,
God.
you know, and wait to catch him. I'm just sitting there like, who the fuck is O.J. Simpson?
I knew him as the guy from Naked Gun.
Yeah, that's what I think most of us knew him as.
I was like 6 or 7 at the time, so I hadn't seen Naked Gun yet. But yeah, that's what I got. So who would be next? I think Paulo's up next then.
Doug, you are 80.
I'm 1 day older
That
than
is
you.
right.
Holy
You're a day
shit.
older than I am. Okay. So for me, a lot of it goes to the Disney stuff. I was a big fan of Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck.
I am
That'd
afraid.
get dangerous, bro.
Yeah,
We're-
I mean, when there's trouble, you call DW.
That's the only. And the only reason I don't say Batman is because Matt already said Batman. Because otherwise, it would.
So did Ed.
And we would all say
We'd all
Batman.
say, yeah, we'd all say Batman.
I mean, yeah, can we just use that as a blanket statement that, like, yeah.
Batman was the best cartoon of the 90s.
It really was, though. It really was. But
Yeah.
like at least in terms of that, a close second for me was those Disney cartoons of the time. They were fucking fantastic. Like Darkwing Duck.
Oh, like you mean like Goof Troop and all
Goof
those?
Troop was great
Like,
too. I'm sorry. Like all of those were
Yeah.
fantastic too. I'll even throw in some Adventures of the Gummy Bears too. Like why not?
I'll say that, but I was not big on Quack Pack though.
No, I didn't.
I have no idea what these things are.
I remember Gummy Bears. I actually have one of the dolls, and I actually found it in a memory box not so long ago.
Tailspin.
I think I
Tailspin
have
was a
Gummy
lot of
Bears
fun,
in,
too.
like, the kitchen.
Oh my god, the fucking theme song has been stuck in my head like for the last like 25 years.
Yeah. OEO Tailspin. OEO Tailspin.
Tailspin.
Something thick and thin for
Yeah.
another tailspin. I don't know what the fuck how it goes.
I mean, speaking of
Oh,
awesome
wee-oo.
90s cartoons theme songs, DuckTales?
Ooh.
One of the top 3 of all time. Easy.
Like that just goes without
You know what?
saying.
You know what's crazy? My kids tend to not be big fans of like any cartoon that's not currently on Nickelodeon, but out of curiosity, you know, me and the wife were flipping through the shows on Disney Plus. We put that on, and
Rugrats.
now my kids can't stop watching. Now my kids won't stop watching DuckTales.
Because DuckTales is fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's definitely worse things to have your kids into.
I'm just saying it's held up. That's how good that show was.
Is it make any good?
DuckTales? Yeah, I think so.
I've heard it's great. I haven't seen it, but
what's his name?
David Tennant plays, I have friends in their 40s watching the show. Yeah, Scrooge McDuck
in the new one.
Oh yeah, their voice cast is like all-star.
Yeah, I know, and they redid that. They did the song, and the song is still the same song. Like they did not change the song.
It fucking better be.
It's the same fucking song. I think they introduced a new character, but
oh, Paul, I got one for you. Rescue Rangers.
Oh, probably that and Thundercats was the why a lot of our generation are probably furries.
Okay, that hurts me because I'm not a furry, but also Chitara and Gadget were my first two crushes. So Thundercats and Rescue Rangers. Yeah. All right, I'm not helping my case at all.
We find the defendant guilty.
Listen, if the shoe fits. I mean, I'm not going to deny the fact Chitara was pretty hot back in the day.
If the glove fits, you must acquit.
The glove does not fit. You must acquit. Get it
Whatever,
right.
man. Chewbacca defends this.
all right. Getting back on target. So, Doug, I said the Disney shows, that block of Disney shows that was Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, Gargoyles. I might also even go as far as to say Reboot was one of those shows.
I almost just mentioned them when talking about CG. That show, man, that's one of those things. I want to go back and like rewatch that. There's part of me that wants to try to watch Beast Wars again.
Oh my god, Beast Wars!
But like that 90s CG jank, I don't know if I could stomach it.
I love the 90s CG jank of like of Reboot because it knew it was going to look like jank. So like for me, it's a nostalgia trip, especially because it used so much like 90s computer lingo.
Yeah, Beast Wars is 1996.
Oh, and by the way, Ed, I just want to thank you for ganking the last series that I could think of that one of you hadn't already mentioned. No, it's totally awesome though. I'll just sit here in awkward silence trying to think of something.
That's what you get for being the oldest, Doug.
No, but actually, the thing is that actually being the oldest is that my first thoughts that weren't any of the things you mentioned were all cartoons that are technically late 80s. Things like the Ghostbusters, which was like my shit before the Ninja Turtles came out.
Wait, the Hanna-Barbera Ghostbusters or
the real
Ghostbusters?
Don't even ask. The other ones don't exist. No, but that was my jam. Like the order of cartoons was too young to remember what cartoons were. Then He-Man, then Thundercats, then Ghostbusters, and I stuck with Ghostbusters for a long time because I loved the movie too. And then Ninja Turtles, and then Ninja Turtles basically held up until Power Rangers.
Doug, man, your age is showing.
Yeah, you mean yours?
No, man, you're older than I am, so you're practically an old man now.
Man. Ninja Turtles was the most blatant attempt at selling toys.
Like 24 hours.
Ever existed.
The cartoon, sure, but again, it's funny tying that in. It was a dark, gritty 80s comic book.
Yeah, which I gotta
read.
I
feel like I want to say yes and no, but yeah, no, totally read it. Cause, but isn't it supposed to be a parody of Daredevil?
It is. It's supposed to be a parody of Daredevil, sort of, but to the point where they've actually like retconned it so that the accident that caused Daredevil is the accident to build the mutagen that created the Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I love the parallel, like Stick and Splinter, the hand and the foot. Like,
exactly. Yeah, and so it was totally meant to be an homage, like to Daredevil.
I mean, Ninja Turtles in the live action movie is why I loved it whenever I got that when I was a kid.
Oh, dude, those the live action Turtles movies being great.
Yeah,
especially the first one. The first one had like surprising depth for a kids movie based off of that.
And I'm sorry, Super Shredder was a badass.
It was Kevin Nash. Let's get it right.
Let's just agree to not talk about the third movie.
What they're
Yeah,
talking about? There was only two of them.
Exactly. The one where they travel back in time to feudal Japan.
God damn it.
Oh no, that was Turtles in Time. That wasn't a movie. It was a great game though.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. What were you expecting? The Addams Family?
Those movies were good too.
Oh, here we go. 90s cartoons. Now I can start naming some of the ones that I was big on that
Just name them down the list.
All right. Animaniacs, Freakazoid.
Oh,
the old WB
Yo,
lineup.
how did we not?
Pinky and the
why
Brain.
Why was that not?
How did I
ours?
forget?
How did I
forget
those
Freakazoid?
WB.
Yeah, Freakazoid is the most underrated of all of those WB shows. Freakazoid is so friggin' good.
That show's hilarious.
Which one, Freakazoid?
I own a bootleg DVD of every episode because there are no legit DVDs of every episode.
Yeah.
Freakazoid?
As far as I know.
Freakazoid was weird because they only played so many episodes on Channel 11, and the only way to watch the remaining episodes is when they re-aired them on Cartoon Network, I recall.
Really?
Yeah, I swear, there was a bunch. I remember watching every episode of it because I loved it so much when I was a kid. And then like they took it off the lineup. And then like years later, when I got Cartoon Network, because it came to my area so late, there was like an entire season's worth of content that I had never seen before.
Huh.
And I was religious about watching it. And I don't think they aired all of it originally on I almost said Channel 11 on what was it back then? WB?
WB, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I had borrowed I borrowed seasons 1 and 2 of the DVDs from a mutual friend of ours, and just had them for years because it was one of those like he was like give them back to me when you're done, and like I'd never finished them, so they're just in the house forever. But I would be super interested to see if there was like any episodes I missed or just like didn't realize that they like weren't aired on TV. You know what I mean?
Look for the episodes of Fat Man and Boy Blubber.
Okay, those I do remember.
If I find it, I'll lend you my DVD.
I just love how 90s the concept is though, where he becomes a freakazoid because he's programming, and I'll add in Perl, and he gets
You're
sucked
such
into
a
the
fucking
internet.
nerd, man.
Yeah. That is part of a line right from the theme song. He got sucked into the internet.
And he becomes a freakazoid. Yeah.
Right. And I bring that up just to mention we talked about DuckTales being one of the top 3 cartoon theme songs of all time, obviously. I'm putting Freakazoid up there.
I'm not a fan. Like I liked Freakazoid, but I wasn't too crazy for the theme song.
You're fired, Paula.
So
his brain was overloading. It's got a chocolate coating. Floyd the barber cuts his hair, Paulo.
He drives the villains.
Freakazoid chimpanzee.
He drives the villains crazy because he's a super freak or something like that.
Because he's a lunatic.
That's
Matt.
it. Sorry.
How dare you?
I can't believe
Yeah,
you guys
you are
remember
sorry.
all of that. Like I honestly don't even remember like half of that.
I can actually sing it like forward to back. I'm not
please
going
don't.
to. I wasn't. It would be a waste of all of our time, the listeners and us. I'm just saying I could.
Good Lord. Okay. In any case, all right. So, what's the funny part about that is to bring all this kind of full circle to where we are now. The vast majority of the shows we've discussed are now available to watch,
And some of them are coming back.
Yeah.
Animaniacs is coming back. Original voice
Is
cast.
it really? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
That's
Oh,
right.
wow.
I do remember that was something.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like coming out like next year.
Really?
I don't know the date. I don't want anyone quoting me on that, but I remember it coming sometime soon.
I am quoting you on this.
It's
Damn it.
It's gonna be weird though, because like in the 90s they can make a lot of pop culture jokes and they can land because there wasn't an internet, people weren't out in their own little bubbles. So like I wonder how the humor can change in Animaniacs to keep up with it.
I was
That's
reading,
a really
in the article I was reading, they were actually talking about how they want to make sure that everything feels modern, but at the same time still keeps all of the charm of the original. Like they don't want to just pretend that like no time has passed and make the same show.
That has to
But-
be really, really difficult.
It is, but they got Steven Spielberg's funding on this, and he's one of the ones that pushed for the show to be made in the first place. He is like apparently, I believe, involved in this again, not like directing episodes, but like financially and everything. And Spielberg tends to ask for quality when he spends his money.
Yeah, I mean, his all the shows that he had parts in for animation were all fantastic. You know, he was the producer for Freakazoid, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs. I can't think of any others. But those three alone are legendary cartoons.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think Pinky and the Brain, but that's a spin-off of Animaniacs.
Yes, but Pinky and the Brain.
I wasn't sure if it counted.
Part of that, I believe.
It is. I remember they tried to put Elmira in the show.
I do remember that was like the last season. It was Pinky, Elmira in the Brain.
Yeah, that was bad.
Remind me who Elmira was.
That sounds awful.
She was
Tiny Toons.
Elmer Fudd's niece.
Yeah.
Tiny Toons.
Like little girl Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. I couldn't stand her so much.
She had Mr. Skullhead dolls.
Yeah, that was the whole point. You weren't supposed to stand her.
Yeah, she was doing her job as an effective heel. She was getting heel you, Paula.
Yeah, I do not stand Elmira.
Yeah, I couldn't stand her. I really could not.
Oh man.
Animaniacs was a great show though.
It was. So Doug, you got any other fond 90s nostalgia trips you wish to share?
Another one that was recently remade in a modern era, Rocko's Modern Life, was my favorite of all the Nicktoons.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about the the net Nickelodeon deal a little bit because I know there's going to be more of those coming. How was that movie?
I watched it. It was okay. I wasn't. I don't want to say I was disappointed because it was watchable. It had some funny moments, but at the same time, I realized the reason I don't think I enjoyed it as much is even though they make those references that do kind of hit you in the nostalgia, they still made the new one for kids. So, nowadays I watch things like BoJack Horseman, things that have adult humor. So it was good. I'm sure kids would love it.
Oh, BoJack.
I'll put on Rocko's Modern Life movie for my kids, and I'll report back to you.
Please do.
But yeah, no, Rocko, I felt like that was like Diet Ren and Stimpy almost in a way, no,
100%. It was definitely in that same vein of it was using a lot of gross out humor, a lot of adult layered into these these children gags. Yeah,
man. If I was to make a music reference, you had Warner Brothers and, they were I don't know, some Paul McCartney classic rock act. And then you had Fox and they were a more edgier kind of maybe a Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses. Then you had Nickelodeon and they were Ween back when they were Glue Sniffer days.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I think I'm the only person, listeners incled, that know who Ween is.
I don't know who the hell you're talking about. Yeah. So let's be honest here. You guys are the
reference, my friend.
The music nerds.
I mean, okay, so saying that Nickelodeon is the alt rock to Fox's, hair metal. I don't know if that's a good one comparison. Because these were super popular. Are you going to tell me Ren and Stimpy and Rugrats weren't a big deal?
I didn't mean
Doug wasn't a big deal.
I'm going to tell you something right now. I was probably in the minority. I hated Ren and Stimpy.
I actually did too.
Oh wow!
I love bits of it. Log is forever one of my favorite things. But a lot of times it was just oh look, they're doing something really gross and showing real close-ups of disgusting looking boogers for no reason other than to be gross. And I'm I never found gross out humor funny. It was just as a kid. So
I do to this day.
I like weird, but that was weird and gross.
that show was just straight up weird though. I mean, for God's sake, they got Frank Zappa to be the voice of the Pope.
Wait, which show was this? I'm sorry.
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Huh.
That was one of the last things he did before he died. Yeah, they got him.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I will say this, I did love bits and pieces. I love Powder Toast Man.
Oh, that was fantastic.
That was the episode. Yeah. It was the Powder Toast Man episode they got him.
I love all the games from Blammo.
Oh my God, yes.
Don't whiz on the electric fence.
No. None of it was good.
Yeah, don't do that. No. So, if you're not a fan of gross out humor, then let me ask you, how did you feel about All Real Monsters?
Not a big fan either.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it grossed me out less, I guess, because it wasn't as visual. Because you guys remember when they would put the really detailed still frame animations on the Ren and Stimpy episode to show something gross.
100%.
They didn't really do that with All Real Monsters.
No,
so
I mean,
it didn't bother me as much.
Tim Curry was the voice of the teacher.
Yeah,
Was he? Huh. That makes a lot of sense.
I didn't know it because I didn't know who Tim Curry was at the time. But the second you said it, I was like, he was.
Yeah, he was also the voice in. Remember Eek the Cat?
Yes,
he was.
I think the three of us are the only people that remember him.
He was like the voice of like every minor character in that, as well as the spin-off with the dinosaurs that are hunting the humans.
Huh.
Oh, question: Was Courage Cowardly Dog 90s or early 2000s?
I think late 90s.
I think it might be late 90s.
I think it might be late 90s as well.
That's another classic. I love.
I mean, you could say all the cartoons were classic. Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls.
Johnny Bravo was one of my favorites.
Johnny Bravo
was
really good.
Was Samurai Jack a late 90s thing, or was that early 2000s?
It's early 2000s. I think that debuted in 2003 or 2.
Hold on, checking.
Don't remember.
Samurai Jack. Yep, 2001.
Cow and
Son of a bitch, I was off by a year.
Just beats it. No, but like Cow and Chicken.
Actually, Cow and Chicken's another one that, as a kid, I didn't like as much as a lot of the other kids did. Same with Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Like, I was never a big fan of that.
Yeah, it was okay.
I didn't hate it or anything. I just didn't really care. But I just had another show in my head and it disappeared. But just good times all around. Dexter's Lab.
Ooh. Tell you what, how about we go on a break and we can see if you can remember it.
Before
Jackie Chan Adventures.
That was a great show. That was a really good show.
Another show that was way better than you ever thought it would be.
Yeah, and it had like real character development over seasons.
Jackie Chan had real character development.
Well, no, actually, he's like the only.
See, I hate that there is one anime that I want to talk about from the 90s, but I can't because it didn't premiere in the United States until 2001.
I mean, you could just talk about it anyway.
Yeah, like seriously, there's no one holding a gun to your head.
Cowboy Bebop.
That was 98 in Japan.
It was 98 in Japan, exactly. We didn't see it here until 2001.
That show's just really good.
Yes, it is. It's one of those classics that everybody mentions, and like eventually you kind of get sick of hearing people mention it, but you always have to acknowledge they're right, though.
It's one of the few animes that I would regularly recommend to non-weebs.
It's one of those other animes that you would also recommend to watch the English version above the Japanese version.
Yeah, it's one of the only ones.
Yeah, because English voice acting is terrible, and the secret is Japanese voice acting is terrible too, but we don't understand it, so we don't know.
That's also true.
That's true.
That's also very true.
That always drives me nuts when I'm talking to people. I'm like, man, the dub is terrible. The subtitles, the voice acting is so good. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know?
Do you speak? No, you don't.
You know what? On that, we should go on break.
No better time.
I gotta collect myself.
All right, guys, we'll be back. The day my sister came back to New York and told me that was the day that I was just like, you're officially not a New Yorker anymore. Like, what have you done? Like, what has become of you?
What did she say? I missed that part.
She said that she had mashed potato on a pizza.
Ew.
Okay, exactly. That was my response
yeah,
too.
this is not a good texture mix.
Okay, but hold on, Doug.
Okay.
I went to San Diego last weekend.
And you had it, and it was great.
And I tried this mashed potato pizza. Huh. My God, was it fantastic! You know what else made it a little bit better?
What?
We had gotten some Brussels sprouts. I forget what they were cooked in, but they also came with like a little a vinaigrette. Put a little bit of vinaigrette on that pizza, and it tasted even better.
It's not the flavors that I don't see like meshing. It's like the texture.
No, I can see that. If anything, the texture seems to make the most sense because, like Paulo was saying, see, when you make a pizza, the secret to making a good pizza is that you need to put it in an oven that's hot as fuck.
Right.
So you put mashed potatoes into an oven, you're going to get like the same effect you get when like a good shepherd's pie where it gets that nice crust on the top.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think the texture actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay, that could change things because I was just imagining like, really creamy mashed potatoes.
Like a scoop of mashed. No. And that's what I said. That's what I was just telling Matt. So there's other stuff on the pizza too. It's not just mashed potato. It's a pizza. It's a white pie with mutts, bacon, what is it? It's fresh mutts and parm.
But it's a white pie, so there's no marinara.
There's no marinara sauce
Exactly,
in there.
that's why it works too, because tomatoes and mashed potatoes is a weird thing.
Well, it's with mashed, I guess it is, but tomato sauce goes with potatoes and a lot of other things.
Oh, it does. I'm just saying, have you ever put marinara sauce on mashed potatoes?
No, you never put anything but gravy on mashed potatoes.
No, that sounds terrible.
Well, depending on which Italian recipe you're using, marinara can technically be considered a gravy.
Holy
disgusting.
shit.
That's disgusting. I feel fucking vomitous from that.
I'm just saying, it's a technicality. You know, it's like the whole thing about is a fruit a vegetable or a fruit.
Is a fruit a vegetable or
I mean, is a tomato a vegetable or a fruit?
Dude, I'm that kind of tired too. I get it.
And we're back from our 90s nostalgia trip, guys.
I mean, are we really back from it? I feel like we're still living it.
Nah, man, trip is over. I hate everything that has ever happened from 1990 to 1999.
Look, I'm just going to be like
all stricken from my memory.
Look, all I got to say is, can't you guys be like that Chemical Brothers song from the Spawn movie and trip like I do?
Ooh, that does have Richard Patrick from Filter in it.
It does.
Also, a random friend of his.
Yeah,
the female voice is a friend of his that she a voicemail.
Huh? Interesting. Never knew that.
Yeah.
Nice.
My question is, like, why is the 90s always calling people, and why does one all of its shit back?
Because that was the first decade with cell phones, and they didn't get the technology just right, and they sent out the signal, and it went through a wormhole, and comes into modern times every now and then.
Yeah, but like, why do they want it back? They gave it to us, like, and I don't know. It just, I think it's
let us have this.
So here's the thing. I don't think it gave us anything. I think it kind of fell through that wormhole, and like, okay, what happened to that thing? I want that thing back.
See, that's why Backstreet's back. All right.
All right.
See, I have a question. Did the Mandela effect start in the 90s?
Holy shit.
I don't know. What was the first book of Berenstain Bears published?
Yeah. I was going to say, like, the effect or the term, because I know when the term came about, but the effect could have been at any point.
Well, what if the Mandela effect is just a Mandela effect that we're all having?
Thinking that the 90s were really good?
Wait a second.
Yeah.
The Matrix came out in 1999. It proved we're in the simulation.
Holy shit, everybody.
Crack the code. We're breaking the universe. All right. No. All right. But
we're diving through the panels and smashing through the fourth wall.
In all seriousness.
We're doing it.
Seriousness.
Yeah. We have covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot about like some of the stuff that we enjoyed about the 90s. And now a lot of the stuff is back. And we're getting a chance to look at it through, I guess,
nostalgia goggles.
Both nostalgia goggles and taking a look at it as
regular
adult goggles. Now that we're no longer.
So more or less, we want to spend the next segment taking off the nostalgia goggles and critically looking at the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, does any of this stuff actually hold up?
Well, I can tell you musically, if you look at the top 10 lists from the 90s, they don't.
What were the musical?
Who's on the top 10 list?
Yeah.
I forget.
Cher's "Do You Believe in Love" was the #1 hit of 1999. I end my argument there.
Not for nothing though, man. That threw auto-tune in the mainstream.
It really did, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a good song. I'm just saying the legacy that it leaves.
Leaves.
Leaves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think. There was those musical acts in the 70s that had that stomp box where you played through the guitar.
That's fair.
Doesn't really count though, because it was Cher was the #1 hit in 1999 with auto-tune. So I mean, yeah.
I mean, not for nothing. If we were looking at 90s acts, like if we're looking at 90s acts and what they're doing today, Blink-182 is currently on tour, I believe. The Backstreet Boys are on a tour. They just finished up a residency in Vegas. Big acts in the 90s, they're still doing stuff.
I know.
Britney Spears has a residency in Vegas.
I think it finished.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't there very long. She was only there for a couple of months, I think. But still, she had a residency as well.
Yeah.
I thought she was there for like 2 years.
Yeah, it was there for a little. She was there for a bit.
Oh, maybe she was.
That's a good residency.
Yeah, it was like a really lucrative contract.
She made a
I mean,
lot
I have
of
no
money
idea.
out of that,
I've never seen her. I've never been to Vegas.
Yeah, in either case,
I'm missing out.
We got to ask ourselves a question. So, with Disney Plus coming out, DC Universe giving us a lot of the older, DC shows coming back. Now this new Netflix thing with Nickelodeon, and being able to have a chance to go back and rewatch some of these old cartoons that we've watched. Do we still feel that these shows are as good as they used to be?
My immediate comment to that is most of the comic book stuff, like in particular Spider-Man and X-Men, I don't think hold up as well because of 90s censors. In case in point is like Spider-Man and the X-Men, they couldn't really throw punches in the show.
Yeah, 100%. They were not allowed. Same thing with the early seasons of Batman, the animated series. Not allowed to show like actual violence, like Batman characters like Wolverine or Spider-Man were not allowed to throw a punch, or they were allowed to throw punches. They just weren't allowed to being showed hitting an actual person.
But looking back to it,
they show the swing and then the guy flying away, but never the impact.
Exactly.
Yeah, but looking back to it, Batman did it right. Spider-Man and X-Men, not so much.
Well, the thing is, I feel like the people who made Batman cared.
Yes.
Also true.
Well, I mean,
the Marvel ones felt like toy machines.
Oh, I know the creative process for the X-Men, and I forget her name, but she was higher ups at Fox at the time, and she put her job on the line to get this cartoon made because she loved the X-Men. So like she cared, but the budget for that show was abysmal. It was pretty much like, here's like $50 a bag of Doritos and like half a chewed on Big
and
League
they
chip.
used $40 of that for the opening.
Exactly. Like their budget and like the bag of Doritos. What was the opening?
Yeah, because going back and looking at that, it feels that way. Like the quality of the show was just not as good as everything else was.
No, there's a voice clip of Morph from the first episode where he gets shot in the chest by a sentinel and he yells, and they use it like every time Morph shows up. Like he's in pain, he uses that. Like he's sad, he's yelling.
Oh, is that why we used to get?
He's getting.
That's why we got so many gene-gasms.
Yeah, because they literally like I was saying before that like I watched the compilation of some stuff before, like to prep for this episode before we were gonna record.
Mm-hmm.
Jean has like one voice clip of her entire story. Like, Matt, you're not wrong. One of the compilations I had watched was Jean Grey is useless.
She was in the show.
The entire compilation is her throwing up like a telekinetic barrier against whatever they're fighting.
Right.
And then her going, "Oh no, it's just there's a machine, something's stopping me. It's too powerful." Just shoots her, goes through her shield, and she's done.
Okay,
and Cyclops going, "Jean." Here, there's one voice clip for Cyclops.
Jean.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my theory about the X-Men cartoon and all the screamgasms they have, because every episode has at least 2 minutes of a character in some sort of pain going, "Ah!" Not exactly Pee Wee Herman, but you get it.
Except that one episode.
Oh, true. No, but like, animation is not cheap. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars per second you do. So what do animation studios do? They figure out a lot of creative shortcuts. And the most notorious animation shortcut I can think of is, for example, Sailor Moon. What happens in every goddamn episode of Sailor Moon? You know, they go through their shit, the bad guy appears, and then she does the transformation. The transformation sequence is like a minute long, but they play it in every single episode. So they only had to animate it and color it and do it once, played it, and once every episode. There you go. You got 1 minute of a 28-minute long episode done.
And if they can squeeze a second transformation into that episode, that's just less work for them.
Exactly. That's my theory about X-Men. Just paint one panel of the guy screaming and just, shake the cell a little bit. And there you go. You eat up 2 minutes. There we go. Saving money there, Fox.
No, it was like we were saying before too. One of the things that really gets me with the non-violent aspect of X-Men. And like, I'm not trying to say because it's not like hyper violent, it's bad. It was a Saturday morning cartoon for kids. Like, I ate that shit up when I was a kid. Like, don't get me wrong.
I know. Thinking back,
here's
so
a character. Yeah, because but here's a character in Wolverine that's like a tiny furry death machine, right? He's got fucking knife hands.
Yeah.
One of the Phoenix episodes, he literally goes from the sewer, fights his way from the sewer into the mansion. And he should be killing like slews of people, like getting up that way. He throws like maybe one swinging kick, and he's just he's back body dropping and throwing dudes like to get back to the room that they're in.
I thought you were going to tell me he was wading through the sewer, and then he cuts a slice of salami.
Yeah, and it was weird how he just kept awkwardly referencing his like 1996 judo Olympic medal.
Wait, seriously? I don't remember that.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! No, but like,
yeah, hip tosses, backflips, just like anything to avoid actual
throwing a punch.
Impact. Yeah.
No, that had a lot of that. Spider-Man was guilty of it too. But like, the X-Men had a bunch of issues too, with just like these weird, like almost David Lynchian cutaways. With like, again, I mean, we're talking about Wolverine here. He's a tiny murder machine. There's an episode he gets. There's an episode where they go into the sewers. They're going after the Morlocks. I think like Jean Grey gets stolen by the Morlocks, right?
Well, that at least useful.
Yeah, right. So a small team of X-Men end up going into the sewers to go after these Morlocks. One of them has like powers or something. I honestly forget what the guy's power set is. Doesn't matter. He makes Wolverine think he's got like scorpions all over him. You would think that this tiny murder machine would be able to just like, oh, fine, I have a crazy healing factor. Scorpions aren't a problem for me. No, he's deathly afraid.
What?
Scorpions! It's the worst.
Wow.
That scene was odd in the sense that like it felt so phony. The Wolverine's voice acting, like it even felt like the actor was just like, I'm not scared of this. I'm gonna have to pretend.
Well, like I think Ed was telling me too. Like, didn't they like fuck up some things about characters? Like, didn't they think Wolverine was Australian or something?
Oh, that was for Kitty Pryde in the X-Men, or no, Pride of the X-Men.
Yes.
The very first like animated X-Men thing.
That was terrible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and for some reason they decided that Wolverine would have an Australian accent in that.
God, that was bad.
I'm not even familiar with that.
It's really bad.
It was one episode thing. It was like,
oh, okay.
It's actually what the arcade game's based on.
Ah,
I mean, one good thing
right.
came out of it, at least you could say.
yeah,
That arcade game is really good.
yes,
That
it
game
is.
is really good. But no,
Like Spider-Man, does that hold up either? I don't think so. It has a lot of the same problems.
Didn't you?
Oh no, it has all the
Isn't
same
the running
problems,
joke
really.
that you have going on with that is that Venom drives the truck in one of the episodes?
Yeah, he does.
I don't remember that.
You know, you've seen the scene. It's like
I remember
he's almost got this like red blue sheen on him too. Like it's weird, man. And then there's also like some weird 90s jank CG thrown in. Like he's driving a garbage truck. Somebody is like honk the horn, and he does. Like it's weird, man.
I remember the animation being very, very stiff for it too.
Yeah, it was not very fit at all.
Like again, that's like why Batman the Animated Series stands up so well, because the character designs were very simple. And they did that so they could better animate.
It's not just that it was simple; it's that they drew it on black freaking.
No, they only did that for the first season.
Is that only for the first season?
Only for the first season they drew it on.
Yeah,
black,
that was prohibitively expensive.
yeah, because that's like one of the weird things about animation. Apparently, it's more expensive to do a cartoon in black and white than in color.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. I learned about that when I was watching Gunbuster. The final episode of that anime is in black and white, and apparently, like that episode cost as much as the previous 4 episodes to make.
Wow,
That's another thing that we had not the luxury of, but we had to work to get our anime.
we really did. Yeah, I mean, like we're in a world now where like you turn the TV on just about any channel and you're getting an English dub.
Well, first off, I mean, like in the 90s, it was so weird because we were getting a lot of shows where they would take multiple animes, cut them together, and then make it its own thing. I don't know for what reason they did that. Like a good example is Robotech.
I was just about to say, didn't they do it with Robotech?
Yeah, Robotech was Macaros and I think 2 other shows. I don't remember the other 2 shows, but Macaros is still like a thing. And it still has a fandom. I remember they made a video game on it in like 2003. That was a really good game. But yeah, they smash cut that together. There's a couple other shows that were like that too. And it was funny too because they would also like remember Escaflowne. They actually aired like 3 or 4 episodes of that on Fox Kids in the mid-90s.
They did. I remember that was the
Really?
only reason I even decided to look into that show.
I never looked into it, but that's the only reason I know the name.
Yeah, so like there was oh god, what the hell's the name of the show? There was a show where there was these 5 dinosaur kids, and they would transform into, and they get like this metallic shell.
A Land Before Time.
No, not A Land Before Time. I can't remember the name of it.
Power Rangers?
No,
Well, Big Bad Beetleborgs?
It took a page from the Super Sentai tropes, but
Power Rangers?
No, I gotta look up the name of the show. I gotta find it. I'll find it.
Was it VR Troopers?
No, it was
or
not,
Big
no,
Bad
it was a
Beetleborgs?
cartoon.
Oh.
But they aired it at like, at like 8 o'clock during weekdays, and that was another one of those shows where like years later, like, oh, it was just an anime that they probably got for dirt cheap and just put a bad dub over it and put it in America. Pizza Cats, whatever it was.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Samurai Pizza Cat?
That's it. I never saw it, but again, that's another example of a show where they dubbed it, did a horrible job of it, but kids didn't care.
Well, I mean, you can't care because we don't know what the translations were at the time. We didn't know any better. I think in the 90s, we were all, at the beginning of the 90s, was really our like lucrative just beginnings of being teenagers.
Right. What I'm trying to get at is that most anime that we grew up with, quote unquote anime, it was really just, some studio getting the rights for some show they didn't give a shit about in Japan anymore, putting a cheap dub over it, or smashing together multiple other shows and, releasing it to the public. So like Ghibli, Studio Ghibli, the Miyazaki guy, he was notorious because when Disney released the first Ghibli movie in America, they apparently like edited the shit out of it to the point where I think it was Nausicaa. I could be wrong. They apparently sent a katana to Disney and says, no cuts.
Jesus.
Yeah, that might have been in the 80s, though. I don't remember. But what I'm trying to say is that you didn't get anime that was not somewhere form chopped up to shit in the 90s. And, there wasn't really an internet you could download stuff off, and buying the official VHSs was like $60 and you got maybe 2 episodes. It was prohibitively
it was super
expensive. It was stupid expensive. And then you could also buy pirated stuff. Like I remember the flea markets had you could buy like all the Dragon Ball movies, before they even came out officially in the States.
Oh, yeah.
But those cassettes would disintegrate after like the second time you watched them.
It was one of those like...
It was like a message from Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, kind of.
This message will self-destruct.
Yeah, it's like, you put the VHS cassette tape and then all of a sudden Thanos snapped his fingers. There you go.
No, but it's definitely one of those things that, like, depending on, I mean, I'm going to say getting back on track here, but like, did a lot of these cartoons in the 90s hold up? I don't know. Like, I would argue that a lot of the cartoons did, but those are comedies.
Yeah, it's just the genre of cartoon, really. Like, the comedies, yeah, like you just said, really hold up. The comic book shows, Batman, Superman, hold up wonderfully. The rest, not really.
I mean, I still will rewatch Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond. I decided when Disney Plus came out, I decided to watch
Gargoyles?
Yes, Gargoyles. And that was I mean,
sobering.
I'm afraid to watch it because I like that show a lot as a kid.
You know what? It doesn't. All right, I'm trying to give it like a.
The longer it takes, the more your point is made.
I definitely enjoyed rewatching it for sure,
but
I can realize how stupid it also was. Like, there are some really dumb parts for that show. Thinking back, the fact that David Xanatos, aka Commander William Riker, was not supposed, like, that people were like, we're not supposed to believe that he's the villain at the beginning of it. No.
Then why did they draw him like a villain? Like,
why did they give him that ridiculous goatee? Why did he look like fucking Jonathan Frakes?
You might have thought I was a bad guy. But it was absolutely false. Totally fabricated. We made it up.
Exactly. Like he was supposed to, for whatever reason, we were supposed to believe he is not the bad guy. Okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah, not for nothing. He just looked like Riker with a bigger beard and a ponytail. Like
not just Riker with a bigger beard and a ponytail.
So the ponytail must be what made him evil, because he had everything Riker had, but then also the ponytail. Riker didn't have a ponytail, and Riker was a good guy.
Maybe that's like the alternate version of Riker, where he's evil.
I don't know, man.
Instead of a goatee,
that
has a
dude's
ponytail.
last name was. It's like that dude's last name was Xanatos, though. How did you not know he was a bad guy? Like
last name was.
Yeah, my name means death. No big deal.
Oh, by the way,
wait.
By the way,
you mean Sinestro's the bad guy too? What? Mr. Sinister?
By the way, I had to look it up. That show I was talking about before with the dinosaurs, The Adventures of T-Rex. That's the name of it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. It was weird.
Neat.
Sinestro is the bad guy, really?
Yeah. Who would have ever suspected with a name like Sinestro?
Right? Next thing you're going to tell me is that
Skeletor was a good guy.
Skeletor was right the whole time. You shut your mouth.
Hashtag Skeletor is right.
I mean, I very often give myself Skeletor affirmations in the morning. Just to get my day started.
Okay. Now I can forget Skeletor, but Evil Lynn gave herself that name.
Yes, her name is Evil Lynn.
What about G.I. Joe? Didn't he have some pretty obvious ones?
I mean, what's his name? The guy with the silver face. What was his name? Destro?
Cobra
no,
Commander?
that was Destro.
That's it.
No, Cobra Commander was Cobra Commander. Like, that was also Starscream.
Yeah. Cobra Commander was like the only actual cool character in G.I. Joe. God. Well, I mean, besides Snake Eyes, but Snake Eyes is cool in all the most cliched ways.
Nothing personal, kid.
No, not for nothing. I'm not the biggest G.I. Joe fan. Like I know that's like blasphemy.
No,
but,
I get it. I understand why.
I had a hard time following it. But
I just love a whole show about people firing at each other, and they weren't allowed to use bullets, so they used lasers. But the lasers never hit each other either.
They're all a bunch of stormtroopers. Nobody's hitting anything.
How about when they crossed over G.I. Joe with Street Fighter?
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Oh, you mean the cartoons?
Well, I don't know if they did it in the cartoons, but they actually, they reskinned all the G.I. Joe action figures and just painted Street Fighter characters on them.
So
I do remember that.
So I do remember that, and the reason is because I own like all of them. Also, the Mortal Kombat characters, they did the same thing with them.
Oh, really?
Yep. Nice. They did. The first line was right after the first movie, and then they were like, "Wait a minute."
So it was like Snake Eyes. Did he just like become Scorpion and Sub-Zero?
I think so.
All right. So the Mortal Kombat movie, does it hold up?
I say it's a fun movie, not as a good movie, as a fun movie.
Mortal Kombat.
The first
Mortal Kombat is
Annihilation
a fucking classic that is an American treasure. Don't you dare speak ill of that movie, okay?
Direct that towards Matt. I was defending it.
That movie is actually the reason director, like the guy that directed that movie, and how well that did is, and he got to do Resident Evil.
And Resident Evil is a great movie too. I like Resident Evil.
They're pretty good for like early video game movies. They're not bad. Like, I mean, Mortal Kombat Annihilation's a whole nother story.
That
was a garbage fire. We don't. I mean, listen. The Mortal Kombat ended with Shao Kahn attacking Earthrealm and them posing. That's where the Mortal Kombat series ended.
And killing Johnny Cage.
That was the beginning.
That was the beginning of Annihilation. No, we don't acknowledge that. Johnny Cage is still alive.
For some reason I thought that was the end. I thought he showed up and snapped Johnny Cage's neck. But you're right. You're right.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation shares a spot on my DVD rack next to The Room. Like that's how bad good it is.
As it should. Yeah.
Oh man.
But the first, listen, if you do not hear the words Mortal Kombat and don't just go Mortal Kombat. You are not a child of exactly. You sing.
Yeah, you don't even have to do it, because when he said Mortal Kombat, that is what happened in everybody's head.
Exactly.
Yeah. That song was playing in my mind.
That's why when they again, another nostalgia moment, when they released Mortal Kombat 11 and they redid a remix of that song for the trailer, that trailer was fire. That trailer was better than the game.
Oh, and also Shang Tsung is like voiced and like modeled after the actual actor.
Yeah, the guy who played him in the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
that's right.
He was a DLC character, and when they introduced him, it's like the Mortal Kombat movie. And also, speaking of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it did give us one of the best terrible lines ever. Katana talking to Sintel. Mother, you're alive. Yes. Too bad. You shall die.
Good Lord.
If you added about a minute pause before you said, and you shall die, you would have had it perfect. Because seriously, it's like you hear crickets chirping in between those two lines.
Oh my god. That stuff is so bad.
There are so many awful lines in that movie.
And also just how Cyrax and Sector, like, the thing is, it's authentic to the look of Mortal Kombat 3, because even in the game, they just look like people with black spandex suits and painted, like, hockey armor.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Cyrax and Sector are the cyborg ninjas from the game, from the third game.
It's like, when you name your child Cyrax, you are dooming him to one fate. He's going to become a cyborg at some point. Because, like, when you say Cyrax, you don't think, oh, like, Philip Cyrax of the Vermont Cyraxes?
Well, I know what I'm naming my kid now.
Yeah, really.
Good old Johnny Cyrax.
Oh, man.
He's going to hang out with Jerry Witcher and John Hill. Oh, right?
Terrible.
The thing is, even when things don't hold up, they're still great because of things like this. We are still laughing and having a good time talking about this decades later.
I mean,
oh, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to, like, that is a real thing. Like, I do enjoy sitting back on a Saturday night, having a drink or some other mind-altering substance.
Firing up the meth.
No, firing up the meth is when you watch the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh god, that movie's terrible.
How dare you? John Leguizamo's a treasure.
Is that also a 90s movie?
Yes.
That is a 90s movie.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I remember that came out when I was in kindergarten, and I was begging my parents to go see it. They saw the trailer, like, no.
Mario, hold on.
So yeah, no, not for nothing. I mean, I guess to answer our question, then, do these things hold up? Not exactly the way we envision them, but like, you know, with what Paulo was just gonna say,
1993, yeah.
Like, I would not mind just hanging out, you know, grabbing a couple of beers and watching some of X-Men the Animated Series, because that show gets Looney Tunes at some points.
More than Looney Tunes.
It does, and so we can put our nostalgia goggles back on, relax by ourselves, and watch them, and still get some kind of enjoyment like we did when we were children. But we can also watch them and get new enjoyment discussing how terrible they are with friends and having a good time doing it. All right, this lingering silence is boding really well for how interesting that comment was.
Good night, everybody.
All of the music that you have heard is the song Dance Rocket off the album Descent of the Goober Monster by Jesse Spillane. It is licensed under Attribution 4.0 International CC by 4.0 license off freemusicarchive.org. If you have a question, a topic you would like us to cover, or simply wish to tell us all of the facts that we have screwed up, feel free to email us at laymansguidetothemultiverse@gmail.com. Also, feel free to visit us at our website at laymansguidetothemultiverse.com.